I absolutely loved this film as a kid. I discovered as I got older, more and more, I realized how much it was crammed full of really leftist ideology. Looking at it now, it is on Peacock, if you've got that. Watching it last night and part of it again this morning, I am blown away how by entirely Marxist woke it is, well in advance of its time. Roddy Piper, Keith David, 1988, They Live. On the surface, very surface, They Live appears to be sort of your standard extraterrestrials have invaded, taken over, science fiction concept, exposing the lies and undoing them. Of course, this is always metaphorical. The great miniseries V and V the Final Battle, not so much their regular TV series, but there's been a lot of series based on this where it is obviously a metaphor for totalitarianism, control of the press, propaganda and manipulation. They Live would seem to be right in that same category, except it is an entirely Marxist take on this. Not only are the extraterrestrial invaders business people, they are going from world to world, exploiting the markets. They literally refer to them in the film as free enterprisers, and that we are their third world. And just in case you missed that, there's a direct quote made by an alien on television of Ronald Reagan, one of his campaign commercials, "It's morning in America." Now, to be fair, this is also a terrible narrative story that just does not work. I like to use the TV series MASH as my go-to example of an entirely Marxist worldview being promoted, because it was, but very well written, humanizing. The actors did a great job. It was very engaging. It was just a great story. That's the real trick of how they pull you into that, but it's entirely a Marxist thing. Increasingly today, the woke nonsense, they don't have a clue how to even write a consistent narrative. I mean, literally, it doesn't go anywhere or end up anywhere. They Live is an early version of this. Now, it starts somewhere and it ends somewhere, but it fumbles along in really stupid ways. Like, here we need to get the reveal. Here we need to, he gets the glasses. Now he's got to be able to see. Now, we get an extended, 18-hour fight scene between Roddy Piper and Keith David's characters, because apparently really whooping someone's ass is how you convince them to try on the glasses and find the truth. The whole thing fumbles along dumb like this, but hey, it gave us a leg lock and a clothesline and a whole lot of Roddy Piper pro wrestling moves. It was dumber than a haircut match from WrestleMania 3. And despite having this fight scene that would have fit really nicely in the World Wrestling Federation of the era, instead of having anything that elaborate, when we build to the end, we get this completely contrived, we get a magic hole in the ground that leads us to a place where we can walk around and we, the proletariat, can see the bourgeoisie at their banquet talking about their profit margins in their secret extraterrestrial lair, and get to the end and we just, with the smallest gun ever seen, held by an action hero, we can shoot the dish and destroy the signal that somehow these genius businessmen from another universe, galaxy or dimension or whatever, have one transmitter and all you have to do is take it out. That's not even good for a video game. It's lousy for a movie. But hey, along the way, we will get many more contrived situations in case you have not achieved full class consciousness and your place in the proletariat versus the bourgeoisie. The alien transmitter devices will be a really fancy gold Rolex looking thing. They're all going to be wearing suits. They look like skeletons with no skin, because everything the bourgeoisie do is a facade. The metaphors are as thinly veiled as the illusions in the film, and it's just, in hindsight, you're like, how was I ever dumb enough to think this was cool? Oh, I know why. Because I was still watching cartoons around the time that it came out. That's why. specific references to pro-unionism and how the horrible corporations are selling us out, finding a friend that sells out and says, hey, we all sell out every day by, doing a job and earning a paycheck working for the man. What ridiculous Bolshevik nonsense is this? It essentially includes an entire dialectic that anybody who does well or gets a promotion or has money in their bank account, they literally say this is the proof that they sold out to the system. Not that they're successful or smart or they worked hard or they got a better education. It's tied into the insidious extraterrestrial plot. Worst of all, perhaps, despite the tiny little cap gun that somehow blows up the massive thing, like unbelievable, despite all of the message of violence at the end, that the bourgeoisie must be destroyed by the proletariat through violent means and the overthrow and the destruction of their message and their access to media and their access to ability to make arguments to defend themselves after making fun of the Ronald Reagan commercial. This is just about as grossly Marxist as you get. But wait, there's more. Making the bourgeoisie elites in this film extraterrestrials is the ultimate expression of scapegoating. You have made them less than human. You have literally made the powerful elites, the evil people that invest in things and create jobs. You've made them inhuman monsters because you have dehumanized them, making it easier to scapegoat them and literally genocide them. Roddy Piper does a much better than expected job of acting. Keith David is always enjoyable in what he's in, although ever since I saw Requiem for a Dream, he gives me the creeps because he's so good in that. Sort of like Kevin Bacon after that one other movie. And Meg Foster, who does this sort of standard, strong, empowered, independent woman thing, which sort of notoriously cost her Cagney and Lacey stint. They felt she was too much that way, even maybe being lesbian in the portrayal. She has an opportunity here to really shine, but we get like 30 seconds of what seems like character development with her, and then it's back to the standard. And it goes nowhere. But beyond that missed opportunity of her, I can't say anyone does a poor job of acting. It's an interesting, visually, I don't know what to say about it. I loved it as a kid. I would have put it right up there with other sci-fi similar stories of the time. And when I first heard someone say that it was leftist, I guess maybe, but it's done so well you wouldn't notice it. I'm sure I've said good things about They Live right here on my channel. But rewatching it now as an almost 50-year-old adult who has watched these things develop, having not seen it since probably, 92. I watched it once after I'd seen it in 88. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh my Lord, how did I miss this? How did I miss the obvious bourgeoisie proletariat thing? How did I miss the obvious reference to Ronald Reagan? That was everything but looking at the screen and screaming his name like they would do on Supergirl before it got canceled. Placing the resistance cell inside the church, and it's not really a church. Echoes of Southern Communist Leadership Conference. Holy moly. It's all right there, and it's horrific. Just horrific. And I can't believe that I ever really spoke well of this film. But this is what happens with age and maturity. Some things hold up very well. Some things don't. Childhood cartoons I loved, like the Transformers, turned into more genuine science fiction with a real decent moral human message being about giant machines from another planet than some of this nonsense like They Live that just has not held up, does not hold up to the most basic scrutiny when you look back at it and be like, wait, what are they selling me here? It's not just a movie about alien invasion. What is it they're selling? And then you're like, how could I miss it? Which is an oddly appropriate metaphor for what happens in the film when the glasses are put on and all of the lies are exposed. Now I've got the glasses of modernity and I'm looking back on it and saying, holy moly, this was bad Bolshevik communist nonsense. They don't live.